I want to stay on the topic of political footballs, if you will, but switch a little bit sort of the angle of that, if you will, and just focus actually on the wave of anti-Israel campus activism and some of the incidents of anti-Semitism that we've seen largely at a small number of hyper-selective schools, of course, and the result has been a population of Jewish undergraduates at Harvard, Columbia, Cornell, University of Pennsylvania, for example, shrinking by 3 to 5% in the last few years. And according to data gathered by Hillel, the National Jewish Student Organization, and we've seen that many of these students are starting to flock to institutions like Vanderbilt. What are you doing to be seen as more welcoming to Jewish students in particular against this backdrop?
We're seeing the same trend. We're seeing a significant rise in interest, increased interest from Jewish families, particularly from the Northeast, but also California, other parts of the country. We were on, or I was honored, we were honored at Vanderbilt. We received 2 awards recently, a few months ago. One was the Lamplighter Award by Chabad International, and then what's called the White Rose Society Award by the White Rose Society for our work in supporting Jewish students during a time of tremendous difficulty and tremendous need after October 7th. And I'll just a little anecdote because Jeff mentioned my German background. The White Rose Society Award is named after a group of German students that in 1942 protested the Nazis by throwing out leaflets and distributing in the university. They were all caught and executed. That's the university where I was an undergraduate. So I know their names. I know where it happened. When I walked to class, that was the atrium where they had thrown down their leaflets. So this is very meaningful to me personally. But what we have done at Vanderbilt is basically 2 things. One is we are going to support every member of our community to thrive. And that's number 1. Number 2, we have a clear commitment to civil discourse, free speech, and institutional neutrality. Civil discourse the most relevant in this case, which means that we have a culture on campus, and we work very hard in creating that culture, that all members of our community remember that they came to Vanderbilt to be part of a living, learning community, that they treat each other with respect, that they listen, that they have arguments, they use fact-based reasoning, they're willing to be convinced. We're not about demonizing each other, we're not about ostracizing each other, we're not about screaming at each other. So that culture we work hard on creating and making, that's kind of second nature to our students now. And so I think we're less vulnerable to the type of discord that's happening at many other universities. And then when there were issues like that, they were small, but they were there. We acted in a way that the principles of free speech and free expression were enforced. And when students violated that, we disciplined the students. And I think none of these things, all 3 things, were missing in different degrees at other universities. So the clarity of principle, communicating, acting when you have to, but with courage, I think was a critical thing. And that is now being recognized across the country. One way in which we're seeing this directly manifesting itself is with increased applications by Jewish students and their families.
Yeah, so it's following on